Yo, what is up, my guys?
Season 2.
Yo.
We
never did that again.
No.
No. Anyway, hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Teach See Repeat. If you're not watching on the video, what's your name?
My name's Hayden,
Okay,
by the
if
way.
you're not watching on the video, then that start probably sounded a bit odd. We're here. We're in real life.
Yeah, this is weird.
I don't like it already.
No.
I do
You liked it
feel
earlier.
I did, but that was when it was a novelty, and now I'm like, oh, we're recording. And do I look at you? Do I look at the screen? I'm used to looking at the screen.
This is the new layout, guys. This is season 2.
Season 2, baby.
We're going to be here like this.
I asked on Instagram about season 2.
Yeah,
That's where it came from.
What was your poll?
I said something like, should we call it season 2 because it's the second year? Or do we just carry on with new episodes? And
no one voted, so we
they did vote.
chose...
This is the thing. Whenever we do a vote on Instagram, I always do the first vote. Just to make sure that whoever's voted, it's not just going to 100%.
Yeah.
So I voted for meh, don't care, just more episodes. Every single other person who voted, all one of them, no, there's quite a few votes, said, hell yeah, baby, season 2. That's where that, energetic entrance came from. Yeah. But we're in real life. That's weird.
There's another thing that's different. Have you guys spotted it? Another thing that's different. Dylan's wearing a hat for some reason.
Oh, my hat.
Indoors.
It's really hot, so this might not make it. I did think about wearing a hat indoors.
You quite like wear... I'm pretty sure you told the story before.
We did it.
Dylan,
with the bucket hat.
we did. You know, Dylan's, he's loving wearing his hat. If you haven't checked out our previous episodes, really interesting story about.
It's got a massive head. And it's hard to find hats. My whole childhood, right, has been me, my mum moaning at me, going, Dylan, it's hot outside. Put a hat on. I'm like, it doesn't fit my head.
Shout out to your mum, by the way. Just a quick shout out to Dylan's mum, who I praised last time. You remember? I was very, very pleased because, Dylan's family in general just said nice things about me. Since then, though, worried about my hand. Apparently, I look like I've got a condition.
I'm gonna find the exact...
That's the quote, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna find the exact message on my phone because you know my mum. She doesn't actually want to rub anyone up the wrong way, but it was just hilarious because she private messaged me. So this is out of the family chat. Sometimes in the family chat they'll mention about the podcast, but she literally went out of her way to privately message me, and I'm gonna find the exact wording so that it doesn't go wrong. But it was all about your hands. Why are you showing your hands? If you're watching this podcast. Just show your hands.
No, I've seen it. I've seen my hands.
No, put
my
them
hands
up.
are fine.
How would you describe your hands?
I mean, they are pretty gross. I'm not going to lie. I bite my nails. Worst habit ever. I don't know if any other nail biters out there that are over 7, like me.
I found it.
But yeah, it's not very nice.
I bite my nails.
No conditions, though. Hands. My fingers are all right. Like, my hands are okay.
This was the message I got from my mum out of the blue. Please don't repeat this if it's a condition.
Oh, there we go, on the podcast.
But it's not a condition, so it's fine.
Okay.
Please don't repeat this if it's a condition. But Hayden's hands always look like they've been cleaned beyond repair! ! They look like everyone's hands during COVID because the tips of the fingers always look red, but like a clean red.
Yeah, I tell you what though, that's just from me biting my nails. It's terrible. But also, I do wash my hands a lot. And I'm interested for our teacher viewers out there and people that work in schools.
True.
Do you wash your hands like way more than perhaps you did before you were in schools? Because I do. I wash my hands like every break time, every lunchtime, basically every time I've touched anything at school and then I want to do anything with my hand, I'll wash my hands. Yeah. So I have got into that habit.
It's disgusting. It was like, there was always that meme during COVID. Do you remember that meme with the cat who's like mid-cough? And it's like asking teachers to go back to like in a pandemic when kids cough like this. Like,
I love that. I had a phase for like a good month of doing that to Lauren all the time. Just because she laughed once. That's what us men do. Someone laughs once at us.
Hyperfixate. Anyway, we're babbling on. We are back to school this week. We missed an episode last week because, a small matter of moving house in the last day of some holidays. So that was incredibly not stressful in the slightest. And I haven't even been thinking about it ever since.
No. I was thinking about helping you at some point, but
yeah, he helped me quite a lot.
Did I? Did I? Honestly,
it's that thing when you move house. Everyone who I know, and I always think, the cynic in me is like, oh, of course, but I don't actually want to take their help because it's annoying.
Dylan's weird.
Stuff. I'm not.
Dylan's horribly weird about accepting help for anything. It's really annoying actually because he just goes to the next level. So no, I can't. It's like just accept the help. People just want to help. We just want to help you move some boxes.
I know. But listen, it's done now. Ish.
It's not done. It's about 5% done. Yeah, You've moved. He's moved everything.
My stuff's in the new house.
Yeah.
And that's as far as we'll go with that conversation. So that's going to happen. But yeah, moving house. But it's been the first week of term.
Yeah.
And obviously we're here. We're back with the teachers. They missed out last week. You guys, inundating me with messages. I had like 0 people messaging me saying, "Where's the episode?" So we're back. But it is a new school year. How was your first week?
Well, firstly, this is not really our new setup, by the way. We said that joke at the beginning, and then we never actually explained it. We're not.
I've got no internet.
Dylan's moved house, so he's got. We wanted to do an episode. We missed one last week. We're very aware that we'd probably miss this week and next week.
Yeah. I don't get internet for another week, so we would miss next week as well. So. Next week, if we're doing a podcast next week, which I hope so, it will be like this again. So probably. Do let us know in the comments how awful it is.
Yeah. Great. In the comments. In the comments, in this YouTube video.
Where's this going? I don't know.
Anyway, back to the week.
Anyway, how's your week? First week back.
Do you know what?
Are we going to be positive from the start?
I've been really stressed.
It's stressful.
I've found it really stressful. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to give like a false impression.
Well, you do shirk away from work, so I mean, you got to do something.
That's me. I've just found it really stressful. I don't know why. My class are lovely though. I will say that.
Yeah.
As we always say, the best bit about teaching, the bits we do it for, is I've enjoyed every single second with my new class. That's so nice.
And so what's made you stressed then?
It's just work, isn't it? Yeah. It's the start of the year stressful. There's just a million things to sort.
Yep.
And the expectation very much, and I know this will just be across every school ever, is unless you go in your summer and do a bunch of days there and get everything done, there's not actually enough time to do the job in the time that you're paid for to do the job. So
not enough time anyway. Never mind when you have a break. It's like you've got to do all this stuff. If we ever asked the question when, the answer would be just when.
Yeah, just do it. Just get it done.
What do you
T8.
mean?
It's got to get done.
Do you think of any other job where that would be the case? It just wind me up a bit.
No.
We were talking about this the other day. When teachers might be thinking about this, and if you think about any job, to be honest with you, if you do a job, right, in any walk of life, if you do the job and maybe, it's done, but someone says, "Oh, could we just do it a different way? Could we try it a different way?" Right? For example, when we built our website, we had it built and we were like, "Oh, actually, could we get this done instead? Or could you just fix that for me? Or could you do this? Or whatever in your work." And you're like, "Yeah, sure." And then you'll come back tomorrow and you'll do it in your work time.
Yeah.
Like you'll just do it. Okay, yeah, that's going to take up more of my time, but I'm at work and I'm working.
Yeah, and I do it then.
With this job, and people have probably been in schools like this before, where you do planning. So you put hours and hours, by the way, outside of school to do the planning. Then you go in and then someone might say, "Oh, you know what? It just doesn't hit X, Y, Z. That task, yeah, you've planned that task, but we could have done this instead, really, and that'll probably hit this more." It's never, but leave it there and we'll just do it next time.
Yeah, because actually you did this in your own time anyway.
Yeah,
so
literally.
Thanks.
It's just, so can you go away and do that? So what do you mean?
Well, that's kind of the point I got to in the end of summer. So I left the last week of the summer holidays, basically, as a week of, I'll get stuff ready for school, basically.
Which already is a mental sentence, isn't it?
I know, it's mad, isn't it? Like, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
That's one of the few times I think where we both say, but of course.
We have had 6 weeks off, so I don't mind spending a bit of time. But after like a few days of planning, and I did just spend days planning at home, lessons and things, and tweaking bits and bobs. I then my plan was to go into school as well and do a bunch of. I just didn't go in. I was like, no, you know what? I've done enough, and it's mental that I'm now like, it's almost like I've not done my job properly.
Yeah,
you didn't come in for 4 days unpaid. Oh, like I don't like that. And it really annoys me.
We've got to get the job done. It doesn't not get done, right?
That's why this week's been stressful.
That's what I mean.
Because I didn't get as much done as I normally would in the summer. I prepared, so then it was just suddenly like, oh, I've got to do 12 things, and the sort of
I feel like for me, teaching has turned into how much free work can I get away with not doing, and my life be okay in school.
Yeah.
And when I say get away with, I mean to the not detriment of my stress.
Yeah. So
because the less we do, the more stressed I feel. Like there is still everything's got to get done. But if I decide actually I just can't do that, it's still then stressful to have to explain to someone why something might not have happened.
Yeah, of course.
Because you don't want to let people down.
Yeah, because you do care.
Especially when the people around you maybe are doing way above and beyond, which becomes the norm. And it's like, that's fantastic. And I'd never ever want to put people down for doing more. And I hate being that person because when I was doing more, when I was younger, I used to look at those people moaning and be like, oh, get over it. Let me do it. I love this. I want to do it.
Yeah.
But I do see the other side now, which is just, okay, that's now set a new bar for everyone. That might be seen as normal. Well, this person coped. Why can't we just all, spend 6 hours doing that?
It's true. And we've been there. Exactly the same place. I'd looked at those people very naively and was like, oh, I'm just not doing their job properly. I'll do it. Why aren't they doing what I'm doing? Like, I'm passionate. I'm doing it.
When you were younger, right?
Yeah, when I was younger. But really, I'm like, oh, okay, they actually had lives. Like, I lived at home with my mum and I did nothing. I was like, of course, it was easy.
And it was your hobby almost. It was my hobby.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do at the weekend. I was like, I'm going to plow some time into this. It's cool. But at the end of the day, it is a job.
Yeah.
It is a job. That's our little moan. We're already 1 weekend.
Yeah.
But apart from that.
But it's not even like, I'm not trying to be negative about the job.
Sure.
I'm just saying, like, I've just found it quite stressful. That's it. And I think it's okay if you're stressed as well. Like, that's fine. And you probably won't be as stressed in a few weeks' time. I know I won't be. Right now I am. But in a couple of weeks' time, when everything's actually just okay and all the, beginning of year stuff is sorted, I'll be fine. But yeah, it's been a stressful few days. Few days, I emphasize.
Yeah, here's the other thing. This is what I always feel bad moaning. Like, we're not even in.
I know, we're not even full time. It is terrible.
Man.
And people often say that, like, if I say anything negative, it'll be, yeah, we only work 3 days, so you'll get over it. And I'm sort of like, oh, okay, everything's invalid then.
I can't feel stressed about it.
Just get on with it, yeah. stress for 3 days is fine. It's the old saying, isn't it?
Yeah, 3 days in, and there's no stress to begin. Isn't it? Is it a bit weird standing up?
It is strange, yeah.
Yeah, because it's just strange. The background, although it's not ideal, it's much better than if we were further down.
Normally, so I'm a bit funny about this. I like the door closed, okay, because then I don't like the way it looks. But it's so unbelievably hot in this room right now, guys. You don't understand. Like, Dylan normally sweats.
Yeah, I mean this hat's good. I've wiped it. I've already got here half used tissue.
Well, but I tell you what. Let's talk about your hat a bit more.
Okay.
What does he look like? I want you to think right now, because I really think he looks like a character from a Netflix series, quite a big Netflix series. That just reminds me of it. Every time he wears it, I see it. I just think of this character.
A horrible psychopathic murderer.
Yeah. You know the guy from You?
Yeah.
The series You? Have you watched that, hopefully? Looks like that guy.
That was nice. Walked in. I've thought myself, I did think when you said, because he did mention this the other day, that he thinks I look like You, the guy from You. And I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. But I am loving the fact that it fits on my head. But I always think everyone knows the type of men who wear hats indoors. They're men who are going bald, right? Let's just say it right now.
Yeah.
If you know a guy who always is wearing a cap indoors, he's probably going bald. And I just want to confirm that that's not happening. Okay. Yeah. So maybe. Whoa.
You've seen it here
maybe
first.
It's because they're wearing a hat. It's compressing the hair. Jeez. But no, there is hair there. Oh, geez, look at that.
That's where your hair's been put. You made a parting. I could almost do it.
Oh, yeah, look. Yeah. Your parting's 5 inches wide.
Oh, quick story actually. Just remembered something. So the new cohort of children that I've got, it happens to be a cohort that Dylan taught 2 years ago.
I leave my mark. I'm going to talk about teachers leaving a mark in a minute. Let me remember. Carry on.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to remember that. And third day in, a boy in my English class, and not even in my actual class, I didn't know me that well, just said, because I was being mean about Dylan, obviously. I was comparing him to an ogre or something like that on the screen.
Always. Gruffalo,
and they were like, oh, you're mean, aren't you? But he always got you as well. I was like, oh, did he? Did he? Because I had him in year 4.
2 years ago, by the way.
Did he? What did he say? And the boy was like, yeah. Mr. Price always got us to call you Baldylocks and the 3 hairs. And then the whole class erupted into laughter. I was like,
The long game.
Oh, that Mr. Price, eh? Oh, what's he like? Big ogre. The big ogre, man.
I just knew it would pay off. I knew it would pay off eventually. And you know what's great? The next cohort will be the exact same. So if you stay in year 6, because I've been working my magic. I'm currently at the point now in year 4 where I've been there so long, because we're a junior school, 3 to 6. I actually feel like I know nearly all of the children in this school really well, because I've taught them for so long, and I'm getting to know the new year 4s. And I just love the idea of being able to just walk into almost any classroom and just like have an in-joke with them, and also just absolutely rinse you until they get to you in year 6. And every single year we're just churning out kids who just think they can rip you.
But I tell you what, jokes aside, because teaching is acting. You guys, you know this.
So it's podcasting.
Acting. Podcasting is acting.
I wish I was anywhere else right now. And I'm joking.
Wow.
Of course, I'm joking.
Rude.
Yeah. Okay. Backfire.
Teaching is acting. You know it is, right? And as much as I pretend to be like, oh, he said what about me? And then I'll, it's all part of the plan. And the kids love it. They're so engaged by a bit of banter. It's unreal between us. I do use it to my advantage all the time to get them interested in something. Because then as soon as they laugh a little bit, and it's like, yeah, determiners though. Really interested in these, aren't they? Oh, remember Mr. Price? Determiners.
What's that? Several. Yeah, that's a determiner.
Trick them into thinking
several Mr. Prices.
It's fun. Yeah, so Mr. Prices. Oh, that's funny.
Several hairs on his head.
Yeah. So I use it to my advantage.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about that because obviously I'm in my new class this year, and this whole point of some teachers leave a mark obviously on their class. Every teacher leaves a mark on their class when they move up, and there'll be certain things that stand out more. And with my class, I've never felt that a previous teacher has had more of an impact on a class in a really good way, like in a really good way.
I'm glad it went there.
Yeah, in a really good way. Yeah. And I know for a fact the person I'm talking about, she knows who she is, and she probably listens to this. And I just want to say, like what a job you've done. And I think sometimes I'm very cynical about the impact we can have as teachers on kids. I still think overall what happens at home and in those formative years is a huge chunk. I think that's hugely important. And I think our impact, we can have an impact, but it's not huge.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is down to what's already
not as big
happened.
as we think, maybe.
Not as big as we think, exactly. I don't think we can turn around individual cases, but I think on the whole, you can have a difference, but maybe not as big as we like to think we can, like you said. Sure. But what you can do is have an impact on, long-term attitudes. And this class clearly loved this last teacher. And I was only in for 3 days this week. And I reckon...
Because we're part-time.
Because I reckon 5 to 10 times, probably like 3 or 4 times a day maybe, there'd be moments where the children would hark back to stuff from last year. Anyone who's a teacher knows, by the way, that after 6 weeks in the summer holidays, the kids come back and they've forgotten the times tables. They've forgotten how to spell their name. They don't know how to put 2. They've forgotten what a capital letter is. They don't know what a full stop is. But these kids, in maths, they were singing this song, reminding them how to do exchanging, and they could just do it. And everyone joined in. And it was, someone mentioned this teacher's name just in passing about last year. And this one boy just goes, "Oh, don't say her name. Just makes me feel sad because she's left the school. She's left the school. She's not even around. Can't go and see her." And I just wanted to say, because I know she listens, so smashed it. Like those kids like dote on her, but also that is, like we always said, has translated into progress. It's translated into them learning things. Their learning behaviors are awesome. They're mature. They're lovely. They're thoughtful. And I think as a teacher, we can have a huge impact in that way. Yeah,
I agree. She did an amazing job, and I aspire to make my class and feel like that.
She's one of our tutors who works with us.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Exactly,
that's why. So
another good reason.
Absolutely loved it. Loved being with the kids this week. It's just jumping onto a moving train, isn't it? It is stressful.
Yeah,
and I'm
that's
finding
why
your feet.
It's been stressful. Yeah, I think really.
All right, so should we get into the bulk of this episode?
We can.
You want something else?
I got one more thing.
Okay, go on.
One more thing. Me and you'll know what I'm talking about in a second. You forgot about it.
Okay, I've obviously forgotten.
Me and Dylan were just at our weekly lunch at Crumpton's. As you all know, I say weekly. It's not weekly. It's like,
and I've just remembered.
It's twice weekly. No, joking. And we were sat there, and it was like a proper skit, like a comedy skit sat behind us.
Alistair Green. Anyone who's not searched or known Alistair Green, search Alistair Green and
comedian.
You'll know what we mean after the story.
So funny, and it was exactly like his impressions of people like this, right? And so we were sat down at the table. And a couple of tables away from us was a table of 5 women.
Women's Institute.
Yeah, but they were older women, probably between 60 and 80, I reckon, age-wise. And they were having a good old chin wag and, putting the world to right. And there was this one very, very dominant character of the group who just kept talking and she was quite condescending.
Who would be like that?
Ooh, in a duo. I'm going to read to you because I wrote down what she said because I knew I'd forget exactly what it was.
We're laughing, but it was like... It was so surreal because it was like a joke, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like a comedy sketch.
Oh, okay. Like
you got to do the voice.
Okay, right. So they were talking about immigrants. I think you know where this is going already. So old, very, very white women, by the way, a very white group here.
The kind of women who bought their house for a postage stamp in 1970 and think they have some kind of rights to why they've got money. And all that stuff.
Okay, so. This woman said, and she's talking to another woman. She'd already been very condescending. She was like, I don't know about you, but I actually go out like every day. And I walk around, I go to different places. And I've just noticed that the faces around are really starting to change.
I hate it. There's only one thing that means. There's only one thing that means. Yeah. And you can pretend to be posh and be like, well,
doesn't mean anything.
Nothing wrong with that. The faces that I see are changing. Stay indoors. Stay in there, love. Honest to God, what are you on about?
Oh God.
She's not even. This is the worst thing about this. This is like genuinely like pure racism, right? Yeah. Because she's not even saying, "Oh, I saw this guy doing this thing."
Yeah.
And we'd be like, "Oh, don't generalize," but I can see why maybe. You're putting two together. You're of that generation. I don't think it's an excuse anymore. Yeah. If you're literally just saying the faces I see are changing.
Yeah, and that's the point.
Yeah,
that's the end of our argument.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just really noticing it.
Yeah. I see different faces now. What are you saying?
And they were all like,
Yeah, but they'd lap up anything she was saying.
Yeah, God, she didn't stop talking, did she?
Honestly,
it was such a meme. It was really funny.
It was. Look at Alistair Green because he does an impression of this middle-class woman who's like, well, I was down the Waitrose the other day and I just went past one of the aisles. They've got couscous down there now.
Yeah,
couscous.
And you'll never guess. I counted the number of people I walked past that weren't white. That has changed. I'm not saying anything about it, but that has changed over the years.
What is wrong with them?
In my opinion?
That is. Do you know when people say like, racism's not a problem?
Yeah.
Right, and it's like, people are, oh, no, everyone's racist. I'm not racist. Okay. Whatever, but clearly it is. If we're having that kind of casual conversation where people are just going, it looks different. I'm just like, she wasn't saying
the faces were different. She wasn't meaning like, younger faces. She was specifically meaning people who didn't look visibly British were around her. And she didn't like that.
I hate him. I hate him.
I just had to mention that.
If I was cynical, I'd say hopefully that is eradicated in the next 20 years. But I'm not. So.
No, we'll see. Anyways, should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. I'm glad you said that at the end because I was in a good mood. We've got podcast season 2, baby.
Season 2.
I can walk around, baby. Can you hear me? Right, should we do the jingle? We're still going to do the jingle.
That would have been the jingle then.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay, bye. Okay, before we carry on and get too excited, I might go for a little walk again. That could be the new joke from the jingle.
Oh.
In the time it takes you to still walk around the studio. Is it studio?
Studio, yeah.
Studio. Yeah, around the studio. Anyway, before we go on, guys, we are calling it season 2. I didn't know if to call it season 2 or not because I thought, is that a bit cliche? New year.
Season 2. We're owning it.
It's season 2.
It's season 2.
We were here all summer, but in season 2, we've got quite a lot planned. We're going to get some more guests back. We haven't done a guest in a little while.
Got a few big ones lined up, actually, haven't we?
Yeah, I know. I can't wait to talk to Rishi Sunak.
Rishi Sunak coming?
Yeah, he's going to come in. Gillian Keegan.
Yeah.
She's on the way. Who else to be?
Yeah, we had David Cameron. We thought that'd be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
He's coming on the same day.
Yeah. In fact, I think pretty much the whole year is taken up by prime ministers in the last 10 because we've had about 67 Conservative prime ministers.
Yeah, so the last year of prime ministers are coming on.
I wonder what that woman's thoughts of the prime minister might be. I'm just saying, I'm seeing the prime minister and their face is changing. They're changing. There's something about it. I don't know. Honestly.
Barbara.
But really, we did Barbara. Barbara's my nan's name.
That's my nan's name. That's why it worked.
Anyway, there's loads planned. Season 2 is coming away, but guys, we need your plans. You can tell I'm in school mode. We need your stories. We need your ideas. We've got some already because we've had a week off, so we've got a couple that we want to talk about. But I'm just buzzing for it, guys, and hopefully you are too. We're going to have a new setup because I'm moving house, and long term, we do actually want to do more face to face.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about face to face. Is this just horribly awkward?
Well, it is right now.
Yeah.
Long term, we'll probably have a camera each, have one of those kind of podcasts. Right now, we're just making do. Making do. If you're not even watching this, you've wasted a lot of time listening to us. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I know. Talking
wasted a lot of time.
Anyway.
Thank you anyway.
We're an education podcast. What's the little problem that a lot of the schools in the country might fall down soon? Maybe we should talk about that, shall we?
That's not a problem.
It's not a problem. Not a problem. Hayden, what have you just said to me in the break? What have you just said to me in the break when we reminded ourselves what we're going over? I said the rack problem, and what did you say about the concrete? What was your thing?
I said I don't actually know much about it.
No, don't, just a teacher doesn't remotely. do you listen to the news or anything?
I like a little bit, but I generally get my news from you.
It's a me moaning.
You don't shut up about it, so if it's important, I know you'll mention it to me
in the podcast live. So we're gonna give you some insight, guys. With half the people here.
Was that a cut?
That was a cut.
If you're watching it, you might have noticed we just cut there because Dylan swore.
Didn't swear. Didn't swear. Very nearly swore.
Very nearly.
You can imagine what I said. I'm gonna just pause where I would have said the swear word, and you can. Would have, but I didn't. Okay. I said we're going to give you some really valuable insight now into this whole concrete thing with half of the presenters who don't have a clue what's been going on. Yeah. That's all I said there.
Presenters.
Who do we think we are? Can I just say every time you see Hayden's eyes where they are right now, put him back. He's actually looking at himself.
Yeah, I hate this.
He's looking at himself.
Yeah, we all do it. Right. When you're on Zoom, okay, if you ever go on Zoom, what are you looking at the whole time? You're looking at a little picture of yourself in the corner, aren't you? Staring at it. Okay, because we're all obsessed. I keep looking at myself. I don't know because I'm just I'm aware of me. I'm right there on the screen, and now from now on, I'm looking at you.
I don't actually know where to look.
No,
like, do I look at you? Because then we're just like side on.
That's what I'm aware of. Every time I turn to the side, I'm like, oh look
at that profile. That's a man who
once
sits
again,
and plays
if you're listening,
video games.
Complete waste of time. Really sorry.
Anyway, we're going to go on to the concrete crisis. Hayden, what do you know about it?
This is what I know. I know there is a type of
concrete.
Yes. I know there is a type of concrete that was used predominantly in like the 60s or 70s or something like that. It was
like from the 50s all the way to the 90s.
That's what I said. And that concrete, it has now been discovered to be quite terrible.
Well, I remember
it like implodes very easily. I can just go at any point. Like it has no signs and it can just go. Well,
I remember, I think I very briefly spoke to you about this like a week ago, and your literal reaction was, "Oh, why is it a problem now?
Yeah, we're in the car.
Not been a problem for 20 years. Why did they just decide it's a problem now?"
Yeah, we're going to the tip. I don't know. I'm probably just being naive. I'm sure I am.
Bit boomerish,
but
really.
It does just seem like one of them. Oh, really? Is it this massive problem now? Is it?
Yes. Because, do you know why?
Yeah, hasn't happened once. Has it not?
Has. Yes,
it?
that's why this whole
has.
thing came
Right,
about.
okay.
Because
It's happened once now.
one of the concrete things literally collapsed, and they were like, "Oh, we do need to reevaluate this." Actually, they went and reevaluated it, and it was like at any moment any of them could fall.
Right.
And it's in schools, like it's in a school.
Schools.
It just annoys me. It annoys me. So yeah, there's this whole thing, and the point being though, the biggest point that's been made out of everything is that since 2010, what happened in 2010? The Conservatives came into power and the story began. Since 2010, they have literally slashed budgets for repairs and stuff. Right. And this is a direct result. What is happening right now is a direct result of 13 years of austerity and cuts. Like we've always said, you can handle some cuts for like 3, 4, 5 years because it's long time. Yes, because...
this is a result of it.
Yes, because... So under Labour, right? Big push and huge input and money into schools for things like refurbishment. Now, refurbishment doesn't get you front page glossy headlines. No. Like, that's why these Conservatives always say 40 new hospitals, because it will get the front page. 40 new hospitals, wow. But really, they mean refurbishment.
Are you suggesting that they would have, if Labour was in power, we wouldn't have had this problem right now?
What I'm suggesting is, and this is a fact, there was double, if not quadruple, the amount of money for refurbs in schools. Okay. And there's a literal fact here. Historically, there'd be like 50 schools a year, right? That you'd have money for in schools. Labour was ramping that up, right? Ramping up per year up towards 100, I think. But it was going up and up. And the spike for input is like going up towards 2010. Yeah. After 2010, when the blue come in, the blue line, down. Squeeze. Yeah. And the civil service for years, every year said, look, we got budget for 100 schools to fix, right? So they went to Rishi Sunak in like 2019, 2020, when he was Chancellor. This is what's biting him on the backside now. When he was Chancellor, they said, look, okay, we're going to go there and we're going to say, right, 100 schools, great. To sort this out, though, we need to like double it and maybe triple it.
To sort what out, though?
To sort out the amount of money that's needed to refurb the schools because they are so old.
But did they know, my point here is, did they know of the concrete thing until recently?
They knew that they knew that it wasn't a good thing. But it's been upgraded to critical now because it fell down.
Because my point, all my point was going to be was, if Labour had been, I'm not anti-Labour, I'm pro-Labour, but we'd be in the same situation now because a refurb doesn't normally include let's redo the concrete foundations of a school. Yeah, but a lot of schools were saying we need this done because it's old and it is falling apart, it's crumbling. Right. Like not necessarily it's going to fall on our head. So it was kind of happening. It was always a problem. But now in the last 2 weeks, it's been upgraded to critical, do not go into the building. So there's levels to this, right? So it was always like, oh, that's dodgy, we need to get that done. Councils, schools, and the Department for Education, the civil service, were literally saying, right, we need to double it, if not triple it, to get to all these schools that we need to every year. Rishi Sunak turned around and said, no, also, I'm halving it. So it went down to 50 schools, right? Okay. So the overall point being that this is a classic thing that the government seem to look at stuff and say, okay, what can we cut and it won't affect our the outlook. And it's happened for 13 years. Like, you didn't know anything about it. Yeah, you didn't have a clue. Yeah. But everyone in the civil service, I do agree with that. Everyone in the schools are saying, we need this money, please. And the Conservatives can say, austerity, don't be greedy. Like with everything they've been doing. Will that make people vote for us? Yeah. No. Exactly. And now they're just doing like management control because it's gone horribly wrong. And the point someone was making was after 13 years, you can no longer turn around and say, it was their fault. Yeah, you've been in charge of it for 13 years. You cut it for 13 years. Because it still is. That is still the narrative, isn't it? Yeah. Any of you Conservative supporters listening, you know the narrative and you know how much you hate Labour because everything's their fault, despite them not being in power for 13 years. But you still fall for it. You still believe it. And it's been a long time. I do think, though, I'm wondering what the people think out there. Obviously, teachers are notoriously more Labour voters than Conservative. There's a reason for that. It's not because we're idiots. It's not because we are lefty loons. It's because we work in an establishment which has been squeezed for 10, 13 years. And what annoys me is, during COVID, a lot of people put a lot of pressure on educators. And a lot of, you're failing our kids closing these schools. Like, this is pathetic. Look what's happening now because you pay your taxes and you're like, can you imagine paying your taxes, right? You're like 45. You got a kid who's just missed 2 years because of COVID, right? And they're going into year 10, year 11. Winding up, just had a lovely 6 weeks off. Could have got a lot sorted in that 6 weeks. It's almost like moving house on the last day. Really annoying because you've just had 6 weeks to sort stuff. Last day of, by the way, you got to close your school. So why? It might fall down. The balls have got COVID. Yeah. It might fall on you. It's just, if I'm a taxpayer, which obviously I am, but if I had a kid, I would be fuming that this is announced the day before schools go back. It's like COVID all over again. No, schools are opening. Yeah, they're opening. Yeah, they're opening. They're opening. Yeah. They're opening. It's fine. They're opening tomorrow. They're opening. They're not. Yeah. Wait, didn't happen?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, COVID. That's what I'm saying.
Just quick memory.
Yeah.
I still, that was the angriest I ever got. Whole of COVID, that was my peak moment of absolute rage, was just after Christmas in, what would have been, 2020? Or 2020?
No, 2021.
Was it the next one? 2021, when...
Second lockdown.
Yeah, that's right. And
Or
it was...
third? Maybe, I don't know.
I think it was the second one. And it was adamant that schools were going to open. It was like Christmas. It was the worst Christmas ever for like spike of, the infections going up. Terrible, terrible times. Everyone unanimously agreed that it was an awful idea to open the schools right now. And schools going to be open. Schools going to be open. And then we did one day of school.
Yep. And
then the schools shut the next day. And I was so livid.
We would have got stuff ready.
Or get everything spread for one day and then we can close it.
Yeah. Yeah, that day was so completely pointless. Think how many contacts there were. I might be exaggerating now, right? But genuinely, people would have died because of all them kids went into school that day.
Yeah, of course they would.
For one day, for nothing, and then they said no. That would have inevitably have caused more of a spread, and at some point a death or two, even one.
Yeah. Because
they couldn't make the big calls.
Luckily, it was the walls that fell down, so they blamed it on that.
Yeah, I know. After all that, but I think for me, it's just a symptom of the last 10 years. Can you think of anything? Anyone listening, and you? Can you think of anything since 2010 that's got better?
What, in like our life?
Yeah, no, since 2010. Like in general, 2010, we're poorer.
Yeah.
Houses are more expensive than ever. Interest rates just spiked, and houses will only come down less than interest has gone up. So we're not going to be better off.
Yeah, we'll never go down.
Wages have gone down. We just took a 6% pay cut when we took that thing. Is there anything in the public life which is better now than 12 years ago?
I mean, stuff is generally cheaper.
Is it? Have you not been watching inflation for the last 2 years?
Compared to like the 80s and stuff like that.
No, I mean since 2010.
Since 2010.
Has life got better?
Nah, since 2010 it's all got more expensive.
Yeah, it's all regressed. It's got worse.
I don't know.
And there's still people who go, oh, well, it's something they could have done. No, it's not.
Yeah. No, what they do is you get those old ladies from the table in Cramptons and now go,
well, I'm just saying.
Actually, in the 70s, the interest rates went up to 15% and we managed.
Yeah.
So we, do you mean the one income earner in your house managed?
You did work and your house was worth 10 pence. Like, honestly.
I'm not saying it wasn't. There were obviously tough times because also stuff was more expensive back then. Like going out for a meal, like my granddad always says, and it's always good.
Yeah.
Like comparison, he was like, "Yeah, we never ever we didn't go to a restaurant for like 3 years because that sort of thing was mega luxury." Yeah. So I get it. So now they see our generation
going for avocados,
going out for meals like 2, 3, 4 times a month, and they're like, "Well, if they can afford that, then things are fine."
Yeah.
They're not understanding like the proportions and how things have changed in relation to each other. Like meals are dirt cheap now compared to rent and mortgages and all that.
Are you a Tory?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, I'm now.
This is the last episode of the podcast. No, I'm joking. But no, it's just I think it's an absolute joke. It's an absolute joke, and it was all stemmed from. Do you know what? I'm not even saying, by the way, that it's the Conservatives' fault that there is concrete in this school from the 60s.
No.
But what I'm saying is this is the systematic underfunding of people who are in the job, in the building, saying this is not good enough, this is falling apart, and them constantly saying, well, tough, put up with it, deal with it, do it.
Yeah.
Winds me up.
Just do it.
Anyway, so have you got any comments on that? Have you been affected by the rack? Luckily, we didn't. Our children are all in. We're all safe. But if you've been affected by it, let us know, and we'll ask Gillian Keegan and Rishi Sunak when they come on, because this is season 2, baby.
And if you disagree with us, let us know as well, because we're not afraid to
tell you wrong.
He's not afraid to tell you wrong. I'll have an open mind, of course.
No, I'm joking. It's it just winds me up.
Yeah,
winds me up because we're not asking for more money for fun. It's like the whole thing about in schools when they stop you printing. Like they're literally schools, so like, no, don't print anymore. No, I don't want you to print anymore. Sorry, I'm not printing my self-assessment return. I'm printing the lesson that I planned on the scheme that you told me to do.
Printing in schools is a touchy subject for a lot of people. I'm just going to say it right now. I've never worked in a school where it's just an easy thing to do. I'll say I've never known anyone to get it right. No. There's no school that's just got it right. Because it's essential. It's a weird one, isn't it? Like I always say, I'm going off on printing now. And it's such a menial thing, but I'm going to talk about it. I'm never, ever, ever printing anything ever at school that is like for my own personal gain for me. I don't also really care. Like the book policy, the way the books look is set by the school. I'm not in charge of that.
Exactly.
I follow the policy, but I don't really care. Like truly, deep down, I don't really care. Like if a child lays out one thing one way or a different way, that's just the school policy. I'll just follow it. If the policy is, we do sheets for all this, they need to be stuck in this way, you can't fold them, or you can fold them, whatever, I'll just do that thing. But as soon as it's, you've printed too much. You've run out of paper now. As if it's like the burden's on. I don't. Your books will look rubbish. I don't care. There you go. There's your books because there's no paper. Like I don't care.
I bet there's someone out there who has had to not print stuff because there's no paper left, and they've been told, "Well, there's no paper." Well, we've printed that. There's no paper left, and then next week, be like, "Well, your books look a bit."
Why'd your books look like
where's
this?
your challenge sheet? What do you mean?
Oh god,
it's frustrating. Because and do you know what winds me up more than anything, genuinely, is when these things happen, or for whatever reason, there's no ink because we can't afford the ink. It all comes from the top down. All comes from funding. Because the same reason that we're not printing stuff for our own gain, people in charge of the school aren't saying no because they are just being frugal. They haven't got the money to do it.
Ink is ludicrously expensive as well. It's one of those really interesting. We won't get into it now, but it's just on the surface. Ink is one of those like
really
monopolized industries where it's still so expensive and they make so much money from selling ink, like companies. There doesn't seem to be like a good alternative yet.
I think the one thing we can take control of though is just consistency then, because policy has to change. If you're going to be in a school where you have to cut down your printing, you have to change your policy then, because the one thing that winds me up as a teacher, and a lot of people have said this, is when you spend hours planning something that involves creating sheets often and creating tasks. If you're creating those specifically on paper because the children need them on paper, and then you're told, by the way, no, you can't do that, I wouldn't have spent hours doing it. So it's kind of disrespecting my time outside.
It's a bit insulting, isn't it?
To say, oh, by the way, no paper, do it a different way. It's like, what? No, because
I spent an hour planning this one lesson.
And if you want me to do it like this, then get more ink in, get more paper in, or don't. But tell me beforehand. Don't tell me after I spent hours doing it.
Yeah. So if you've got a school that's got it right, I'd love to hear it, because I'd love to know what the right way of doing printing is in a school, because I've never seen it and I've never heard of it.
Less is better, isn't it? Economically, financially, like eco-wise.
And I quite like black and white policies. It's like, okay, it might not look as nice. But I do think, if it saves a lot of money because colour ink is way more expensive, then just print in black and white.
Well, I'm getting a nice sheen on now, aren't I?
It's very hot in here.
Might give it a little
it's like a solid 60 degrees in here.
Anyone watching the podcast is got like a right treat right now.
Yeah. You do sweat a lot, to be fair.
Yeah.
You sweat way more than I do.
Hairy man, mate. Hairy man.
Although I get a sheen on my head.
Yeah, but anyway, season 1, back with a bang. Political, which a lot of people said, don't go on and on about the political stuff. But we just did. So sorry, everyone.
Yeah, so welcome back to season 1.
Welcome back to season 1, baby. Should we do another quick jingle, another little run around the room? And then
ready?
Ready? Should we swap mics?
Ready?
Whoa.
Swapping mics.
Whoa, it smells over here.
Don't like this.
Going back.
It's horrible.
Hey. It's like Ant and Dec. Have to be.
Ant and Dec?
No, I mean, not in our quality of our...
Yeah, we're like Ant and Dec, It's just like... Whatever.
I mean, it's wrong when they're the other way around.
No,
man. Well, mate, well, you can stick it out for the podcast. We're going to do a little jingle, mate.
Wait, who are you?
Oh, I'm Ant. Can you tell me?
No, Ant. I'm Ant.
All right, love. Right, play the jingle. I'm going this one, Norman. Bye. All right, guys, welcome back. We are, we're just fanning.
Just airing.
I think this is the worst decision we've ever made to do a podcast in this heat, in the same room.
If there isn't one next week, this is what's happened. I can guarantee you. Dylan will pester me to do it, because he's way more like he'll do it under any circumstance, and I will convince him it's a terrible idea. So we'll see about that.
Where we're going to be next week. Anyway, we got a couple of things written in. It might be a slightly shorter one this week, just as we get back into it, because I feel like I need to go and jump in the sea.
Yes.
So let's crack on. Hayden. Right. Oh, don't touch me. Thank you. Hayden.
Don't
like being touched.
I'm taking over. So I saw this online and I just had to include it in this podcast episode because I thought it'd be a good conversation starter. So here is from an anonymous person.
Try again.
And anonymous, because I said an anonymous. Yeah. This is what they wrote. I've just started a new school. I'm absolutely baffled by the behaviour system.
Oh.
It involves giving 2 warnings, a seat move, and then removing a student from the classroom. Pretty classic. Like that does happen a lot. After the student is exited from the classroom, it's up to the classroom teacher then to ring the parents. So that, I think this is the bit they're a bit like about, and do an after-school detention. Which is, this could be a secondary school teacher, to be fair. I don't know.
It is.
Okay. Primary school, that'd be a bit strange. But anyway, you've got to do an after-school detention and you've got to ring the parents and explain why. And this person is basically just saying, although, I'll follow the policy, I do feel like I'm being massively punished if I actually do the policy properly, because obviously kids will get exited And if you exit them, you've then got to do loads of work. So I can imagine there'll be lots of staff that would just not follow the policy, so they don't have to do the work, and then behaviour's not that good.
Well, it says there they did 6 exits in one day, which was an hour on the phone after school. So if I was that person, I wouldn't do exits. I would either not do exits, or I would do exits and not phone home.
Yep.
And then I'd get in trouble. And it's
I'd just
crazy.
phone home.
Yeah.
No exits. Take the worst bit.
do all the work.
It's true though. I wouldn't. I'm telling you right now, I would not do my job properly on purpose. Because I'd be like, no, this is ridiculous. An hour unpaid or go home and not get paid as well. Hour unpaid every day.
You've had the best behaviour all year of anyone. You've had anyone well done. Yeah. You get promotion. Get more money.
yeah. You didn't have to exit a single. How did you do it?
How do you do it?
Kids running riot. Like,
I've just got the magic touch. You've just got to build.
It's true, though.
Isn't it annoying when you say that to someone? Like, how are you doing it? And they just go, I know we've said it, but you just gotta you gotta build a relationship with them. It's like, okay, thank you, Sherlock. Thanks for that information.
Yes,
I know that.
But I don't want to build a relationship with them. What did you do differently?
Now, for me, that is pure punishment. And like I say, it's not part of directed time remotely. So the people in charge have just imposed this. Did you not read the post?
Does it say, oh yeah, not part of directed time
I think, honestly, I'm watching him do this and I can see why the podcast goes the way it does sometimes. Because he missed out 3 sentences. I've got his screen here, so I don't normally see this. Missed out 3 sentences, 2 of the main points, and then said that something was completely different. So, because for now, I think he just makes things up. So,
he's the worst.
It could be part of directed time. Might be. You read it.
No, it says right there.
Read it right there. It goes.
It says, actually.
A class teacher detention is not part of directed time either. So
surely this isn't right.
Yeah, surely. It's not. I'm going to play devil's advocate slightly here because we get a lot of stuff from this kind of, person. But I did see a post this week. And my first thought was probably a bit horrible. I want to see what you think. It was a post of someone who, it's not funny. It's a bit funny. Had taken a picture of themselves underneath a desk, posted it onto a group on Facebook, saying that they've had an awful day at work, which I get, but they've took a picture of themselves under the desk and posted it online and said, I'm crying under a desk. So my point is, I'm not laughing at the fact they're crying under a desk, right? But there's that meme going around at the minute of the girl, and it's saying, I'm going through the worst breakup I've ever experienced. And she set up a camera, and she's on the bed going, and it's like the joke is...
I think that's probably why you've latched onto this one, because of that meme.
Yeah,
I know
because I'm
exactly
like,
what you mean.
Okay, if I was crying under a desk because I hated teaching that much, I don't think I'd get my phone out and take a picture.
No, but that's it.
I think I might do a post.
You've explained it yourself.
Yeah.
You've explained exactly why you found that a bit strange.
Yeah, do you not think
because you wouldn't do it, and neither would I.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'm one of those. I will deal with it silently. I'm one of those.
Not even silently. She could have done a post.
That's just me.
She could have done a post.
I'm not saying.
If I'm dead upset, where's my phone?
Yeah.
Where's my phone?
We get a picture of me under the desk. I was just under there, but someone came in. So back.
Maybe I'm being horribly cynical, and people will hate me for that.
It sounds a bit mean.
It's my honest opinion of. Yeah. Don't take a picture of that.
Yeah. It doesn't make me not want to help them. But it does. But I'm just sort of like,
of course. And the situation doesn't change, and I still feel sorry for them, and I still want to help them find solutions. But you didn't have to paint the picture of you crying under a desk.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. But people are strange. People are different, aren't they? We've got to realise that. Me and you are very like-minded in certain things, and then when people do anything different, we're like, why are you doing it like that? Yeah,
but also I think in today's society, sometimes people are scared just to say when they think things are a bit odd. Like if anyone saying that on the post would have been absolutely jumped on and made to feel terrible. And I get it because I would never post that either because I don't want to make that person feel sick.
Yeah, and also it's not the time and place.
Yeah, I don't want to do
her
that.
Her post, despite what you think of how she did it, is actually not the time and place to say, did you need to do this?
Yeah, a podcast out to everyone instead.
No, but I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
We're just talking about the situation now.
Yeah.
If you'd commented on
that would be horrible.
I would have messaged you and be like, don't just delete that. That's like, you're really ridiculous.
It's weird because normally I'm the one who messages you to delete stuff online.
And I usually say no.
Hayden, don't say that.
Hayden, can you please delete this post because it's only had one interaction and now we look like we don't have anyone looking at our stuff. Honestly, get over it.
We might have noticed another cut there because the doorbell went off. So no one else to help us out here. It's just us two. So we had to run off.
No.
But that was nice to get some fresh air. Hayden came back upstairs and I was sat in his bath because the breeze is nice. There's an ogre in the bath.
That's what I'll tell the kids. That'll be our descriptive writing prompt next week. There's an ogre in the bath. What could it be?
It must be a surprise. Anyway, so in terms of that story, I think it just, how many times have we said this on this? We're not going to change it, are we? We're just going to keep moaning about it. But this proper, consistent, top-down disregard for our time. And I'm just going to finish with this thought, Hayden. I wonder what you think.
Okay.
We spent last year striking for two reasons. One for pay, one for workload, right? Yeah. Okay, the strikes are over now.
Yeah.
Workload's more than ever, and we got a 6% pay cut.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound successful to you?
It sounds more successful than what would have happened, which is workload would be exactly the same and would have a 12% pay cut.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it.
No, we would have had a 9% pay cut.
9%.
Because they were offering 3.5.
Oh, okay, because they were doing 3.5.
So realistically, we went from a 9% pay cut to a 6% pay cut, and workload hasn't remotely changed. Do you think that the reason we got to strike action was because it was horrific? That small amount is not a win. I want the unions to do more, and I'll be interested to see what they say. We lost so much money. Guys, put money into the system. We've got our homes, well, not our homes, but someone's home probably, our public buildings. You can't go in them. We can't go into school because they don't put the money in preemptively. Everything is a sticker, like a Band-Aid. Oh, that's gone wrong. Oh, that's gone wrong. This is what I mean when I say ever since 2010. Has anything got better? Has anything proactively got better? Like, do you know what? We're going to invest in this.
I can just imagine, like, all the politicians just sat around, all the politicians sat there,
the blob,
the Tories just sat there like, should we fix the schools falling down? And someone else been like, should we say we're going to do it just before the next election? Oh yes, oh yes, let's do that.
Whoa!
And it doesn't matter if we do it or not, because if we lose, we won't do it, and if we win, we'll just put it off for another 4 years.
Honestly, we are in a dire situation. Anyway, we're going to move on. So I had someone text into me. Well, not text. Message online into me because I do the socials, obviously, this guy. Anyway, so on Instagram, and it was like, it felt like they were venting.
Right.
Okay, it felt like they were already venting, and I did feel a bit sorry for them, but I think what I like is they can just use us as that vent. Okay, so they were venting, and I thought I'd summarize the points they made and just put it out there to just show people, I think, especially those who don't work in a school, like, I can imagine sometimes any of us moaning in the first week back. If I wasn't in the school ever, I'd be like, are you joking?
Yeah, you've just been off.
Are you joking? Anyway, so
true.
Here we go. We're not even a full week back, and we've already had emails to an email received to tell us, and now I've just put them into bullet points, what she said.
Okay.
So, number one, too many teachers are sat down in lesson time. Do you want to react one at a time, or do you want to hear all of them?
God, I don't know. How many are there?
There's 4, so maybe do one at a time.
All right.
Okay, so too many teachers are sat down in this is 3 days in. Okay. Too many teachers are sat down in lesson time.
Okay. I worked in a school once where this became a problem, apparently, as well. And it was like 50% of the reason I left.
Yeah.
Because it was so unbelievably condescendingly ridiculous to me. This idea that me sat down at any point because I've chosen to sat down for whatever reason that could be was inherently a bad thing. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. So that grinds my gears.
Do you know what it also means, doesn't it? They're walking around looking for it.
Yeah. Oh God.
That's what that means.
God.
No one's just gone. They've got walked around and be like, we're going to look for this.
The thing is, though, is that I don't even disagree that the idea of if there was a teacher, if I sat down for my entire maths lesson, it would not be as good as a maths lesson as me not sat down. So it is a factor to being a good teacher.
There is that, but you can still deliver a really good maths lesson even sat down the whole time. Yeah. There are people with chronic illnesses and pain who have to sit down, who can be fantastic teachers. Like from our point of view, the way we teach, I know what you mean, because part of my teaching act is that I'm walking around the room, trying to like get around to them, trying to put this persona on. That's like my teaching style. Yeah. There's also another teaching style which is extremely calm, well explained, talking to you, them getting on, which they get just as much out of. So it winds me up when. I think what winds me up is blanket statements. Yeah, I've heard of schools before who literally tell their staff, this is what a lesson has to look like always. And consistency is important in a school. But when it's like, you must spend...
Autonomy.
You must spend... Autonomy is when you can do what you want.
I know.
Okay,
like,
right.
They're getting rid of it.
Like none of that. But they're so obsessed with like, down to... There's this one school where, if you didn't have a timer on a certain slide, then it would be a problem. It would be a problem.
As if you couldn't just get one up.
And also as if you can't just manage your own time as an experienced teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, what? There's no timer to tell me when 30 seconds
all
is
the
up?
Time. I'll whip up a timer when I need it. Because in that moment, I've made a decision as an educator that will be a useful
And
tool.
how often have you thought, I'll give them this long on this task?
Yeah.
And then very quickly realise they don't need that long because you're a teacher doing your job and gone, oh, actually, no, okay, right, guys, 30 seconds from now.
Yeah,
and you just gauge them.
Imagine being like, no.
Yeah. Oh,
sir, we're all finished. 10 minutes left on there.
We were told we had to put a timer here, children. And this is good learning from the head of school department of education, who we've made up a new role for in the Matt, who's in charge of 7 schools and does nothing apart from go around and tell everyone what to do, who's actually teaching. Honest to God. 7 minutes.
Back to chairs, though. I have no problem with a school saying or recognizing that, you know, you're likely to have a better impact on the class if you can get up and around every now and then. And that's just their advice. They're just saying, if you can, you know, try not to sit down too much. I'd be like, cool, thank you. That's good advice. I have a massive problem with a school saying, we understand that people sat down for the whole lesson is really bad. So just to make sure that you don't do it, we're taking away your chairs.
I can't believe that happened. I'm sorry. I'm going back to it now. I can't believe that happened.
It's happened in loads of schools. It was a fad a few years ago, and I left.
And they got rid of desks.
Oh yeah. I did 1 year, and I had no teacher desk and no teacher chair, and I thought it was so embarrassingly condescending that I quit within like 3 months.
It's all right. You got one of the tiny little chairs for the children's cell.
Yeah. I had the worst neck ache I've ever had.
Yeah, actually sitting down made you back worse.
Do you remember? I was complaining so much because I had to sit on a kid's chair and a kid's desk to do all my marking for 3 hours a day.
I think there's a lot of schools now where there are way too many people in made-up positions out of the classroom who think they know best, forget what it's like being in a classroom. You've got to have some autonomy, trust your staff, don't be an idiot.
Amen, brother.
Anyway, that's 1/4 of things from this version.
Go on.
We haven't, to tell us, we haven't read with all of the children yet. After 3 days. You haven't read with
3
all the children.
days?
Yes. In the first time. Oh, notice a lot of people have gone home with their reading records with no adult signature in it yet. By the way, in here, there's no built-in time for this, by the way. The classic, just can you read with all the kids?
When?
Sorry, 32 of them.
Huh?
32 of them. If you read with each kid for 2 minutes, which by the way is nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's not pointless, but you need to read with a kid for 5 minutes.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
If you read with a kid for 2 minutes, that would take you 1 hour. Where are we finding 1 hour in this timetable for 2 minutes in 3 days? That's like for 2 minutes as well.
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah, insane.
Isn't that is true in schools? Again, everyone works in a school, and maybe you've got parents, and there's probably parents listening, right, who think, I've actually been annoyed before because I've gone like 2 weeks and my kid's not been read to. And I think in reception in year 1, you're learning to read. So actually, you should be reading with them. It's
probably part of your time.
It's part of the lesson. Exactly. Yeah. In a junior school, we do not have time to sit explicitly and read with individual child one-to-one on the timetable. All the time. It's just not consistent enough.
Yeah, there'll be pockets of time.
Squeeze it in when you can. Yeah.
But yeah, certainly not.
So to pull that up after 3 days as if... Sorry, if no child was read to in 3 days, I'd be like, cool, okay, settle in. You know, get your kids a proper book they like, sort that out, you know, get them into the routines, embed them, and encourage reading at home. I think sometimes as a teacher, do you not think we need to say and pass on that's responsibility at home at some point?
I agree. My current head of year's got a nice little system, which helps me, especially as someone, because when there's a million things, you do just forget stuff, especially little things like that. And it just gave me a clipboard with like a list of just a group of kids, and it will change next time. Yeah. And it's just every week, just make sure, you know, in the morning, because we do have a little bit of time. I'm talking like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Try and get one of these read, you know, let one of them read to you a day and tick them off the list. And then you can just keep track of like who you've read with. I was like, that's nice because I can manage that. Yeah. And I'll do it. And over the course of a term or two, I will have listened to all the children read a couple of times.
And it's built in.
Yeah. Like it's built in. Yeah.
It's a policy.
That makes sense to me.
No one's going to be caught out cold from that. It's like, no. What? What you mean?
Yeah, because if you haven't done it, it's sort of like, well, what were you doing exactly? Because you did that. You did actually have that time.
And I think I don't want people to think that we're afraid of or scared of responsibility or being asked to do stuff. That's not it. It's when you're 3 days in and you're like, where's this thing that we've not mentioned once, by the way, and it's 7 other things you've got to remember, and there's no time to do this.
Yeah.
The idea. Anyway, next one.
Go on.
Our lesson slides aren't up to scratch. This was the one for me.
Well,
within the first week, they said they were explicit. I've summarized here because I don't want to say too much in detail. But the idea was that already people in a position of authority have said the lesson slides aren't good enough. There's X, Y, Z missing. You need to go back and change it.
I don't know. I'm mixed on that one. So I reckon I could put together a lesson slide that was atrocious and give it to you, and you'd give me that feedback on day one. Yeah. So it's not completely unfounded, is it? Yeah. No, I don't know.
I think as teachers, we need to be able to be told sometimes that what we've done is not good enough, and that's, you know, I think there's this idea that teachers always do the best thing, and whatever a teacher's put in is acceptable. Sometimes it's not. In the first 3 days back, do you think receiving an email, by the way, that they've just gone in and checked your stuff, there's no formal look here.
Yeah, okay.
You've just uploaded your planning and they've been like, oh, actually, I've noticed a lot of this has been missing.
Yeah.
This, and this. I just think there's ways to go about
yeah,
stuff.
I was about
when
to
you
say.
know for a fact people have put, whether it's good or not, whether it's good or bad, right?
Yeah.
These people have put hours into prepping this stuff.
Yeah. In their summer holidays.
For you to turn around and just say, it's not up to scratch, change it. But they've done this work for free, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I think at some point, and I don't know when, but at some point it's a reflection on the training you put in place. If your staff are consistently not doing stuff to your standard, at what point do you say as a manager,
I've not given them time to learn all this stuff.
Exactly, or I've not implemented it correctly.
I think if I was in that situation, I was that manager, I might be a little bit cross in the moment of like, it's not up to my standards and my teachers aren't doing the right thing. But I think the right response to that would be, firstly, recognizing that it's your problem because you're the manager. Literally, it's your problem. It's your job. And secondly, thinking of a really appropriate way to deal with that.
Yeah.
And that is not just saying do it again and then blindly being like, I don't want to hear about when they're going to do it because I know it's going to be in their free time, in their evenings when they spend time with their family, or their weekends when they've got to look after their parents or something. I'm just going to ignore that. You need to take it take the ball by the horns. I don't know.
Or we try and idiot every week.
Yeah, we always get it wrong. Grab the chicken by its feet. And you've got to put something in place.
Grab the snail by the shell and just go for it.
I think what people do is get spiteful.
Yeah.
People get spiteful. When it's not up to scratch, they go, therefore your rights are gone now.
Yeah.
You now don't deserve any rights. It's like, okay, even if they did a bad job, you still need to give them time to correct it. Yeah. You just do. You can be cross at them.
Exactly.
I'm really annoyed that I've had to get you out of lesson to sort this out because you should have done it right in the first place. But here's the lesson. Yeah. Please go and sort this out. Here's some support to help you, and I'll check in on it next time.
Or what's done is done. The kid's got a lesson because a lot of the time it's just a style preference. The kids still learn how to add, right? The kids still had the objective, but it wasn't to the exact specification. So actually, what's done is done. Next time, we're going to do this, this, and this. And I put this in place to help you next time do that.
Yeah.
What good is it when the lesson's been taught? It's been done. It's gone done. Let's go past it. For some reason, something went wrong in that process. Let's find out what went wrong in that process. Next time, let's fix it.
Yeah.
Rather than, that's not good, do it again. That's not a good way to treat your staff and boost morale. Anyway, one more.
Wow.
Okay,
ready? We are event. People do vent with us, don't they?
I know, and it's great because then I can vent through.
I want this, by the way. Please, if you're listening now and you've got something that annoys you at your school, please send it in anonymously.
If this happened to me, I'd be wound up.
Yeah.
And also, I wouldn't actually want to go and tell the world about it, but we can. So
we will. We'll do it for you.
This is all from the same school. It's crazy. Last one, and I put this last because this happens all of the time. I previously have literally been promised time to do stuff, and time out to stay in a certain role or stay in a certain school. Sure. And I just didn't because of what happened. I was like, no, don't believe you. Don't believe you. Yeah. This already. Here we go. Promised release time for middle leaders, and in this case, it wasn't like it was like us when we teach maths, right? English and stuff like that. Okay. Promised time has already been cancelled in the first week and in the second week, and will have to be rearranged. You know what that means? You're not getting it.
You're not getting it, and you've still got to do the things you're supposed to do.
Because how many times, and this, I can't stress this enough, guys, this has happened to me, so I'm not just plucking things out of thin air. I have been attempted to be kept in a role, kept from leaving somewhere, with promises of X, Y, Z, and I have said no, because I'm not falling for that trap where I'm not going to be different from the 10 other people I've watched not get this stuff. So there is a bit of complacency from people sometimes, but I've seen a lot online of people starting a new school and they've been promised stuff. They've walked in, not got it.
We've got a mutual friend who told us a story once, who also a teacher, works in different schools to us, but we meet up with him every now and then. And there's just one thing I always think about when he was leaving a school. This is years ago. He was leaving a school. And it was one of those schools where schools can set their own pay, by the way. It's quite common. Like a lot of schools actually have slightly different pay scales. And this was one of those schools that had sort of just like 11, 12, 13 pay points, quite a lot of pay points, like rather than the 6 that you normally get that the kind of the unions recommend.
I wonder why. Is it because then each jump is smaller and you can pay people less?
Yeah, each jump is smaller.
Exactly. So you can pay people less. Oh, I see.
After a few years, realised that actually his pay was quite far behind where it should be. Whatever. Challenge the school about it. The school are like,
sorry, not whatever. Is it? It's a horrible thing to do to someone.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
And challenged the school a couple of times along the way, and they're like, it's just our system, so it's just the way it works. So I ended up leaving and went to another school and ended up like securing a much, much higher pay.
But the pay that he should have been on.
the pay that they should have been
the correct amount of pay for X amount of years.
And then when they told the school that they were still working in at the time, like, oh, I'm going here and I'm being paid this much, they were like, oh, we would have paid you that. And I remember he was telling us his story, and he was just like, no, honestly, what a lie. Yeah. No, you wouldn't. Otherwise, you would have done it the last 3 times I asked. Or we would have paid you that.
Yeah. Or if they had have done that, why did it take someone to call you out on it?
Yeah.
It just shows that some schools are just vicious and they don't care. And they make up these rules to save them money. And I'm going to say right now, it's usually those kind of schools that are trusts.
Well, they have more
freedom to do that. And the freedom usually means less money for doing your job, more roles above school, where you're not actually in teaching and learning at all, but you can walk around and look important and look like you're doing something and tell people who are actually doing the job how to do it better, having not done it for years. It is completely backwards. They drain money from the top down. The people actually delivering the work, the TAs, get nothing. Like we always moan as teachers, can we talk about TAs still? We've got, I've met TAs before who are on helping children with educational healthcare plans, who literally help to keep children alive in their day-to-day job, who are paid less than if they go and scan food at Tesco. Meanwhile, someone's walking around in a suit between 7 schools going, actually, there's not a timer on that smart. Do that for me, bye.
Like Michael McIntyre.
Yeah, but who's doing the more important job?
Yeah.
Who is actually doing a more important job? And I always remember my chemistry teacher in school, Miss Cousins. Anyone who went to the same school as me might know who I'm talking about. Yeah. I always remember her just saying, because she was this classic lovely lady who was really, really nice. Often, like, the classes were just horrible because they felt like they could get away with it because she was such a nice woman.
Yeah, took advantage.
So looking back now, I'm like, some people were just horrible to teachers at school. Lovely woman, really liked her. And she always said, who really is providing more to society, right? The insurance broker or the bin man? Like, that was her thing. Yeah. Like this top dog, top wig who's making money for a bank, or the bin man. Or the bin man. And I was just like, one of them moments where you're like, it's broken. It's so broken. And the same in schools. The people making the biggest impact in schools are the people who are in front of your children every single day, the people who are helping stuff to happen, the TAs, the people running around on the ground doing the job.
Are providing more value. I get it.
Way more value.
It's because we live in a society where we pay for responsibilities, don't we? Yeah. If the buck lies, the person has the most responsibility.
Yeah, but their responsibility ends up being working absolutely everyone else to death.
It's because labour is like, it's out of the equation at that point. Your hourly, it's just not the same.
Yeah. So it's broken. Schools are broken.
That's a good vent.
There you go. Yeah, and I read that and I was like, I felt it. But I felt good as well reading it. Yeah, and I think that person felt good writing it. But here's the problem. And teachers do this all the time. Moan, goes and does it anyway. So I'm not going to be horrible to this person because I like this person a lot who sent this in. Yeah. But what I would always say to that person is, what have you done about it? Not in a horrible way.
What have you done about it, mate?
Yeah, you're painting me as some bad guy here in this podcast. But what I mean is, did you dispute anything? Did you get with your colleagues and say, right, we need to change this? Because the only way it can get changed is, it's all well and good jumping onto the strike bandwagon and saying, no, I'm going to strike. Yeah, of course I am. And that was brilliant. Well done. Made a bit of disruption. But the only way we're going to actually make change is when there's lots of small things like this happening, everyone turning around and saying no. And organising it and saying, if someone says, oh, we need you to do a lunch duty. No, you don't. No, I'm not doing it. Because I literally took a £200 pay cut a day last year to strike. So no, I'm not going to do this free thing for you and continue to do my work.
You said that a lot, actually, and I do think
I think it's important.
Like, it is annoying how, strikes were happening last year. The idea of any school being like, we support the strikes, but also within like a month giving you more workload is like, you don't really support it then, do you? Otherwise you wouldn't do this. Yeah. Like the whole, we're striking because of workload. What if you're even staying neutral is not enough? Like, you should be helping this because teachers are striking across the country, not for a laugh. They're doing it because workload's terrible.
Yeah. Anyway. And nothing changed. But should we wrap up there?
I say thank you though for writing in. And again, I'll say it again. Please do write in. Dylan will tell you where our socials are in a moment. But we'd like to hear if you just want to vent at us, or you just want to say something. You feel like, I just don't, have the courage yet, maybe to say this to the people at work who I've got a challenge. We'll say it for you.
And then just play it. Just play it in the classroom. Oh, what are you doing? I'm just listening to the podcast. Yeah. We're going to do an episode soon on amazing SLT because there are some unbelievable school leaders who are under huge pressure who do an unbelievable job, and it's very easy for us.
And there are loads of good schools. Yeah, so good. Find a good school. Yeah. That's another thing. Like, a lot of people say they think they're trapped. Honestly, that teaching's the best job ever in terms of you're always going to find work. There's schools all over the country that the jobs are always going to be there. It might take you a few interviews or whatever to get one, but there's always going to be another teaching job that becomes available.
Definitely
find a good school and forget about the past.
And it's season 2, baby. Unless you've forgotten. Season 2. Have we got the same thumbnail? Do you think? We're not going to do a new thumbnail, are we?
Nah, same thumbnail.
Too much work. We're just going to put a 2 in Spotify, and it's season 2. Should we put a big 2 on the front of this one?
On this
just put a 2.
Season 2. Okay.
All right. Yeah, make it look steady.
Yeah.
They've got this. If no one got this far on the podcast, I won't know what we're talking about.
Anyway. That would just think it's terrible.
Anyway, guys, on Instagram @Teach Sleep Repeat Podcast, Gmail @Teach Sleep Repeat Pod @gmail.com, Threads. It's the same as Instagram, so you can find us through there. And X, I don't really post in there anymore because I don't like Elon Musk and I don't like X that much, and it's just ridiculous. We're going to keep up this dance. This is where we need that radio background sound, isn't it? Talk. Someone's listening to this. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we keep doing
honestly, in the car.
We're getting carried away.
I know. Anyway, find us on socials. Message us. We had a message from that person in Zambia. That was like the best day of my life. I'm not even exaggerating. I was like, oh my God, thank you. I love hearing from listeners who actually listen to our stuff.
Yeah.
And we know you're out there. We know you listen. So guys, do get in touch. And if you have any recommendations or you want to see anything in the future, we're here all year now.
What we do next week, Dylan? We're going to talk about the positives of teaching.
Oh, are we?
Positives of
okay.
teaching.
So this one was an hour-long moaning. Next week will be 10 minutes?
Yes. This was a bit of a moaning episode, but I hope you understand that it's good to vent every now and then. But next week, we're going to talk about all the good stuff of teaching, because teaching is a wonderful job.
So tell us, what's your favourite thing about the job? Give me a really good, feel-good story, and we'll think of ours, because already, to be honest with you, in a couple of days, I can think of a few feel-good stories when I'm interacting with the kids. So that's why we keep coming back. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up because I am baking. You can see my head sweating.
Unless you're listening. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys.